So, Hari Om, everybody. We are meeting after a couple of weeks. Last time we elaborated upon the ladder of fall, which is in verses 62 and 63, where Bhagwan said that meditating on objects gives rise to desire. Desire can be fulfilled. Bhagwan has not talked about unfulfilled desires, but they're actually the same in the sense that a fulfilled desire fulfilled desire causes greed, and unfulfilled desire causes anger. Anger and greed are both the byproducts of desire, and they both lead to delusion, because greed leads to wanting more and more and more of it, and anger leads to getting frustrated, and both of them are then leading to delusion, which leads to loss of memory, which indicates that not that the person doesn't know what is right and wrong, he has the knowledge, but he has forgotten that knowledge. It's not that the knowledge is getting destroyed, but if knowledge is not brought into practice when it is needed, then it is as good as destroyed only. If when I need that knowledge, if I can't remember it, then what is the point of having that knowledge? So in this loss of memory, then what happens is the intellect cannot function. Intellect is always dependent on memory. That is how intellect makes its decisions. This was the situation last time, and this is what I did, and that was right, so I should do it again. That was not right, so I should not do it now. So intellect is basing its decisions on memory. So chitta, sorry. So memory. And so when there is no memory left, then the intellect cannot function. And when the intellect doesn't function, the person perishes. Is there a way out of this, Bhagwan? So Bhagwan gave in 64, verse 64, too. But yes, the one who is freed from likes and dislikes. It is because of the likes and dislikes that desires are arising. Like causes a desire to run towards the object, and dislike causes a desire to run away from the object. So when these likes and dislikes are neutralized in the mind, when an equanimity is gained as regards to likes and dislikes, which are the original culprit of this ladder and fall, then his sense organs are not anymore roaming around in the objects. Why? Because the mind is very controlled. Why is the mind controlled? Because there is a neutralization. There is not an extreme like or an extreme dislike about anything. And then such a person whose mind is under his complete control. So where the mind is one with the intellect, where the mind and intellect are not in fight, in a friction position, then this person attains prasada. Prasada, prasannata, peace of mind. Okay. And why should he attain peace? So that's then Bhagwan gives the reason in the next verse, 65. Prasade sarva dukkhanam hani rasyopajavat. In the mind, which is extremely peaceful, the sorrows get destroyed. Sorrows getting destroyed doesn't mean that no sorrow will come to that person. Sorrow will come because that is dependent on his prarabdha, but he will not become sorrowful. That's why Guru Dev has said, coming of miseries cannot be avoided, but to be miserable or not to be miserable is a choice that I have. I can choose not to be miserable. Misery will come. If it is written in our destiny, it will come. There is no avoiding that. But what can be avoided is our reaction to it, our response to it. So when we have that peace of mind, that equanimity of mind, we will not become as miserable in sorrow. We will not be jumping up and down in joy either. So it will be on the same. Prasanna chetaso yashu. So so what happens? Okay, miseries come. I'm not becoming miserable. What will happen? Then pariyavatishtate. Such a mind will then come to recognize its own substratum. The mind is nothing but the pure consciousness, please remember. But what is happening is in the mind, there are these thought modifications that are happening constantly, because of which the substratum is not known, is not recognized, is not seen. Not seen, when I use the word seen, please not visually seen, but known. And so when the mind calms down, when the thought modifications reduce, then that divinity starts showing more and more and more. And that's why Bhagavan says, an alert mind, which is devoid of likes and dislikes, pari avatishtade, all around it will then start recognizing that pure consciousness. Why should this be done? Na asti buddhihi ayuktasya, na cha ayuktasah bhavana, ayuktasya bhavana. A mind where the mind and intellect are in constant conflict, where there is a friction going on between the mind and intellect, means what intellect is saying one thing and the mind wants to do something totally opposite. When such a friction is there, this person cannot do bhavana here, meditation. He cannot meditate. There's a constant fight going on inside. How can a person become peaceful and sit for meditation? He can't. And then one who cannot meditate, shanti, ashanti, like he will not have the peace. Shanti he will not have. And if he doesn't have that peace, how come he will be happy? How can he get sukha? Because our idea of sukha, happiness, is always been coming in contact with some object that I like. External object. That is what we think is happiness. And I told you, that is not happiness. That is, as per Vedanta, it is pleasure. Pleasure is a sensation which we get when the sense organs come in contact with their respective light sense objects. So much dependency is there. First of all, the organs have to come in contact with that object. That object has to be liked by the mind. That is also there, dependency. So in this dependent environment, when it happens once in a while, we get like a flash of, electric shock, and then we get that pleasure, and we call it happiness, 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 and we assign it to the object. That is the mistake. So happiness is actually in the peace of mind where the mind is not at fight with the intellect. That is what is that bliss. Bliss is whether an object, person, situation is there or not there. Happiness is when it is there, then only I am happy. And that too, that object which I like has to be there. It's not like any object will be there and I'll be happy. No. That object which I like, that person which I like, that situation which I like, if it is there, then I'm happy. Otherwise, I'm not happy. Whereas bliss, which is beyond happiness and sorrow, whether that object is there, whether that object is not there, whether that object is an object of my liking or disliking, person liking, disliking, there, not there, situation there, not there, liking situation, not liked situation, I remain the same. That is what bliss is. Okay, so that's why Bhagavan says that this bliss, if you want to enjoy, then your buddhi, your mind, intellect have to be one. They have to be joined. Joined means they have to be together. There should not be any friction among them. And when will there not be a friction? When the mind is devoid of likes and dislikes. Because when the intellect says, yes, this is something that you want to eat, but the doctor has asked you not to eat that, and the mind is like, okay, fine, no problem. Then there is no problem. But otherwise, there's a problem. And that is why, that is the reason Bhagavan is given. So then we move on. Indriyanam hi charatam yanmano nu vidhiyate tadasya harati pradnyam vayurnavamibhambhasi. For the mind, which follows in the wake of the wandering senses, carries away his discrimination as the wind carries away a boat on the waters. Bhagavan has given an example of a boat. Those times boat, they used to have a sail and they would be dependent on the winds to move and all that. So when the wind is carrying it away, the boat there's no control. That is what will happen to a mind which is not devoid of likes and dislikes. So the senses are outward. I told you the senses are as though cursed. Gurudev's language, there is a manufacturing defect in the senses. Brahmaji only has put it, Kathopanishad, it comes in. that there is a manufacturing defect. So nobody can correct it now. The manufacturer himself, the creator himself has put that defect in there for whatever reason, we don't know. And there's no need to go into why did he put, why did he, there's no need. It is like that. Understand it is like that. Understand the senses are extroverted, and understand that the mind should not be running around with them. And if the mind wanders with them, that means that the mind is not devoid of likes and dislikes. But a mind which has its likes and dislikes under control will not wander with the senses. And so what will happen if it wanders with the senses? It's going to get dissipated. What will happen to the boat, which is just getting carried away in the heavy winds? It is going to go without control. It's going to go hit some rock or something, and it's going to perish. See, we have the example of Tulsi Das ji, of this Indriyanam hi charatam. When the mind goes so much, with Tulsi Das ji, the author of Tulsi Ramayana, his story is that when he was born very, very young, his parents died when he was born. Okay, his father was already, his mother's name was Hulsi. She died. Then there was a nanny who was looking after him. But when he became 5 or 6 years old, the nanny died. So it is always, it is said that the one who believes in God never becomes an orphan. So it looks like Tulsi Das ji became an orphan at birth. Then the nanny died at 5. But what happened was, there was a spiritual master who took him into his ashram, and that master taught him Ramayana. So he grew up in the ashram, listening to Ramayana from the guru, and he grew up. Then when he became of marriageable age, the guru thought, oh, he should get married. So the guru got him married to a woman. Now what happened was, Tulsi Das ji had never seen that mother's love. Any woman only probably he had not like that way seen, because he grew up in the ashram. He became extremely attached to the wife. Extreme attachment came to the wife. And what happened was, one day she went to her mother's house, and that night he got so restless, he could not bear the separation with his wife. So her house was beyond the river, on the other side of the river. It was heavy, heavy rainfall. It is said like that there was a heavy, heavy rainfall going on. In that rain he went, and the river was in full spate, like it was like overflowing. He caught hold of a log of wood and he crossed the river. And her room was on the upper floor. So he couldn't, in the middle of the night, how can he knock on the door of the parents-in-law? So he was embarrassed. So he climbed up on this, whatever twig was there, and he went into her room. And imagine this, fully wet, dirty, this, that. And she was horrified. She was extremely horrified. She said, for this body of bones and flesh, you have become this much, eager, like you couldn't control your mind for like one night. I was going to come tomorrow. And she says to him, if this much longing you had for Sri Ram, you would have seen Sri Ram. That same effort that you put to see me, to meet me, if you put that same effort for Sri Ram, you will see Sri Ram. And there are very few of us who take the hint. And Tulsi Das ji, suddenly he woke up from his slumber. It was and he left. He left never to come back. And he became Tulsi Das ji, and he wrote the Tulsi Ramayana. It is said that what he thought was a log of wood was actually a dead body floating in the river. He didn't even realize that it was a dead body. And what branch he thought he was climbing up was a snake hanging from her window. He didn't even realize it was a snake. That much he got carried away in his passion. This is what is meant by Indriyanam hi charatam yan mano nadhiyate. When with the senses, the mind is just running away without any control, it is going to perish. The person is going to perish because he's going to do anything. That's why the story of Tulsi Das ji becomes very important here. And this is a true story. That has happened. After that, he never came back to his wife. He never actually came back. He just went and he had heard Ramayana, and then he did the Ramayana and everything. Okay. Now Bhagavan concludes. Tasmadyasya mahabaho nigruhitani sarvashah indriyanindriyartebhyah tasya prajna pratisthita. Therefore, O mighty armed, his knowledge is steady, whose senses are completely restrained from the sense objects. So when the word tasmad comes, therefore, we never start a sentence with therefore. There has to be something before that. It is raining, therefore I need an umbrella. So something has to be there before. So when the word it indicates a continuation from the previous topic. So Bhagavan concludes saying that therefore I'm telling you that a person, the Mahabhav word is used here, very mighty armed one, because to indicate to Arjun, yes, Arjun, you have conquered your outside enemies very well. You have never lost a war. But you know what? You need more strength to control your mind. So you are a Mahabhav, you can do it. You're a strong person, you can do it. So far you have controlled your outside enemies, you have to control the inside enemies. Our pledge, when it says we stand as an army, courageous and disciplined, ever ready to fight against tendencies without and within. So outside there are tendencies which we have to, like these, where the mind is running out, we control, which is much easier than controlling our own mind. So the fight within is with this, the Shadripus, Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Mada, Matsara, the 6 negative tendencies that we have, and that fight requires more strength than anything outside. And this is what Bhagavan is indicating to Arjun, that you are a Mahabahu, you are a very strong person, and I know you can do it. So you need to do this, you need to control your senses, because a person who has controlled, that person I would call as a Sthita Prajna. So this is the conclusion. So this is, he said, the root of all calamities is the mind. It's never the intellect. It is the mind. And a mind which is swaying under the pressure of likes and dislikes is even more calamitous than an equanimous mind. And therefore the importance of equanimity, samatha, all that. That is a man of perfection who can control his mind, not controlling outside people. There are people, people, then Hitler was there, he was controlling such a huge army, right? What happened to him? Because out of fear, Ravana was controlling people outside. So controlling outside is one thing, but can you control your own mind? And therefore mind is extremely powerful. Therefore he says that I consider your knowledge will be steady when the mind is under your control. Then your knowledge is steady, and it is steady in the pure consciousness. All right, so far. Then in order to make it clear, Bhagavan now explains, Ya nisha sarva bhutanam tasyam jagrati sanyami yasyam jagrati bhutani sa nisha pashyato munehe. That which is night to all beings, in that the self-controlled man wakes, where all beings are awake, that is the night for the sage Muni who sees. Gurudev's joke about this is, somebody came to Gurudev and said, now I exactly know who a Sthita Prajna is. He's a night watchman, because he is awake when everybody else is asleep, and then he wakes up where, and he sleeps when everybody else is awake. No, that's not what it is. Nisha, night, and day. So what is the difference between day and night? Day is there is light, where things are seen extremely clearly. Things are very, very clear in either light or daylight. And at night, things are not very clear, or they may not be seen at all. So what Bhagavan is talking about here is, what is Nisha? What is night to Sarva Bhutana, to all the beings, all the ignorant beings, is day to the Sayami. Sayami here, the one who has a controlled mind, means Sthita Prajna, because in the previous verse, Bhagavan said The one who has the mind, his mind under control, is a sthita prajna. So here Sanyami means sthita prajna. The best example, and then of course yasyam jagrati bhutani, where all the beings are very, very awake, this man sthita prajna is asleep. Very simple example I'll give you. It's a difference between knowledge and perception. There are two things. One thing is perception, one thing is knowledge that is arising in my mind. So there is an adult and a child who are watching the sunrise. Okay, so both have perception, for both is exactly the same. The sun is coming up in the horizon. Now, what is the child thinking? Oh, the sun is moving, the sun is moving. Right? That is the knowledge. Perception is the same. The knowledge in the mind of the child is that the sun is moving. His parent is seeing, the adult is seeing the same sunrise, but in the mind, his knowledge is, it appears that the sun is moving, but I know that the sun is stationary, and what is actually moving is the earth, but I don't feel the movement of the earth. I feel like the sun is moving. Is this example clear? Perception is the same. Knowledge which arises in the mind is different. Simple? Correct? Okay. Now let's come to night and day. Let's come to ignorant person and a realized master. Perception for both of them is exactly the same, because the sthita prajna I told you is walking, talking, doing things in the same world that the ignorant person is living. It's not, the world is not changing suddenly for the sthita prajna. It is exactly the same. But what is, the perception is the same. What is the knowledge that is arising in the mind of the ignorant person? What is the knowledge? The world is very real. The objects are very real. I will be very happy if I have this object, if I have this person, if such and such sunshine is there, I will be very happy. That is the knowledge that is arising in the mind of the ignorant person. And the sthita prajna, who is looking exactly at the same things, is saying, this world is mithya. It is an illusion. The objects do not carry any happiness in them. The happiness is only within me. So where the ignorant person is very awake, where is he very awake? Awake in the thought that the world is real. That is like daylight to him. Absolutely bright. Oh, I see this world, and very, very clearly I know it is real, and my happiness lies in getting n number of things. Very clear, like day. There the sthita prajna is asleep, because for him it is night. He doesn't think, he doesn't have the knowledge that the world is real. He doesn't have, he is asleep. He has no knowledge that the world is real, that my happiness is lying in this object, that I will be happy when I get this object. He's sleeping there. Now, the sthita prajna, when he looks at the world, what is his daytime? He's only seeing the substratum. I am the substratum of this world. That is, he is very awake to that thought. That I am the pure consciousness. I am the rope upon which the snake is seen, upon which the world is seen. The world is not apart from me. If it is not apart from me, where is the question of getting it? I support the world. So he is very awake to this thought, and this thought will never occur to an ignorant person. He will never think that I am the substratum of the world. He thinks I am here and the world is there. I am separate from the world. I am different from the world. And this world is real. And therefore, this world will make me happy when I get the things that I like. Is this clear? Any questions? What is night to the ignorant person? Sarva Bhutanam here, meaning ignorant people. So what is night? What is night to him is the pure consciousness, is the fact that he is the substratum of the universe, he is in nighttime. Means nighttime means what? Means he can't see that. What is night? Night is some in which is darkness. In darkness, we cannot see clearly. So it is his night. The thought of I am the substratum of this world, I am the pure consciousness, that part is night to him. He cannot see that. So what is daytime to him? World is very real. I see the world. It's extremely real. The Sthita Prajna, what is daytime to him? I am the substratum of the world. I am the pure consciousness. I am the one that is supporting the world. I am the one that is the source of happiness. How can there be happiness in the world? I am the cube of sugar. Why should I be running after the chocolate for sweetness? Whereas the ignorant person, yeah.
Jayaji, so you're saying basically for the Sthita Prajna, there is neither day nor night, because all of that is just what it is, right? But for the ignorant person, when it's only one part of it which is visible, the other, because he's ignorant, the other doesn't exist at this point.
But not day and night means, are you meaning literally day and night?
No, I mean in terms of like ignorance
Knowledge
can be taken as knowledge. So ignorance can be taken as night, and for the regular person, is that how we can look at it also?
Ignorance is ignorance of what? Ignorance of me being the substratum is night for him.
Okay.
But what he thinks is knowledge. For him, knowledge is the world is real.
Correct.
That is daytime for him.
That is daytime. Okay.
Okay. And for the Sthita Prajna, the daytime is I am the substratum. That is day. And this entire world is night. Means night means not that he is not, that's why I told you, perception is there, knowledge is different. Perception is exactly the same.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm still trying to sort of make sense of the explanation. I'm not 100%, but I will read through it again, Jay.
For an ignorant person, the triad is very, very real. What is the triad? Me, the subject, object, and the experiencing. That triad is extremely real. It's daytime for the ignorant person. So he thinks I'm the doer and I will do this and I will get happy. I will become happy, right? Because I told you, nobody is doing, I will do this and I will get sorrow and that is what I want. Nobody is doing that. Okay. So that is very real. That's daytime for him. He doesn't realize, he doesn't have the knowledge.
Okay. Okay.
That there is no triad.
Yes.
It's mithya.
That doesn't exist for this person, right?
For the sthit, yeah. For him, that the triad exists, and for the Sthita Prajna, the triad doesn't exist because he says the known is also me, and the knowing is also me only. So where is the triad? Where is the bifurcation? There is no division.
There is no division. There's no separation. Okay, everything is.
And when he behaves in the transactional world, he behaves as a normal person. But in his mind, he knows. Just like the adult, the parent who is watching the sunrise, he might actually even say to his son, I know, look how fast the sun is coming up. Isn't it look beautiful? Now we saw only a little portion. Now see how much sun we are seeing. He will say that. But in his mind, he knows that the sun is not moving. He will even say that, because to the child, what is he going to say? He's not going to, I've given you the rain story. Where a child goes to the father and father is like, this evaporates and condensation. And he says, what is that? And the grandmother says, do you think the grandmother doesn't know? Grandmother also knows, but it's a 5-year-old child. What is she going to say? She goes, no, there's an elephant sitting in the sky. And he is the one that is taking all the water from the ocean in his trunk, and then he's spraying it on the world. And the child thinks the grandmother is so intelligent. Right? Right. That is the difference.
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Jayaji.
All right. Shall we move? Apuryamanam achalam pratishtham samudramapa pravishanti yadvata tadvat kamayam pravishanti sarve sashanti mapnoti na kama kami. He attains peace, into whom all desires enter, as waters enter the ocean, which filled from all sides remains unmoved, but not the desirer of desires. Very important verse, because once again, in my father's red pen, there is imp written. That means Swami Purushottam has told them that. So I'm telling you, and the reason it is important is because the man of realization, the Sthita Prajna here, is compared to an ocean. So we try to understand what an ocean is. When we say ocean, as opposed to a lake or a pond or whatever, the ocean is, first of all, it is vast, it is infinite. Not infinite in the sense of pure consciousness, but for us it is, because you stand at one shore, you cannot see the other shore. On a beach, for an ocean, it is very deep also. It's extremely deep. Now, what happens in this ocean is all the rivers are flowing from the mountain into the ocean. So many, many rivers are coming in and going into the ocean. Now, at any point, do you see the ocean flooding? Have you ever seen an ocean flood? River floods. The ocean never means what? It is so big, it is so huge that no matter how many rivers come and pour their water into it, there is no change, because it's too big. No matter how many rivers come and pour, and they may be flooding, maybe there's flooding going on, and all that flood waters is going into the ocean. What happens to the ocean? I remember my aunt telling me when I was a child. She said, look at the ocean. The ocean never crosses its boundaries. That time she had said. And she said, that way you must never cross your boundaries. She said, your mind should not also go into wrong channels, because there are boundaries, your behavior has got boundaries. Like you are, daughter of so-and-so. Then there is a certain expectation of behavior. You should never cross those boundaries. That's how she had given me that example. But that here, when there are so many rivers, so the ocean never goes out of bounds, number one. Second thing, suppose if there is a drought, like in India, 1 year there'll be drought, 1 year there'll be floods, and no river comes to it. Suppose all the rivers are dry. Do you think the ocean is sad? No river came to me today. I'm now, how much less? My water became so less. No difference. That is the idea. So the rivers are compared to the desires, sorry. So the desire is a thought. What is desire? Desire is a thought. So these thoughts will come to his mind because the mind is still awake. Thought will come. Will it affect him is the question. That is the difference between an ignorant person and a sthita prajna, that desires come to our mind and we may, I want it, or I don't want it, and I'm running away. Because things are coming all the time to us. Good things, bad things, as per our destiny, things will keep coming. Okay, so same thing is happening to the sthita prajna also, because remember, even in a man of realization, still prarabdha karma is active. It's very active. Prarabdha karma, nothing has gone. So if in his prarabdha karma there is some good thing written, it will come. Some bad thing written, it will come. We see Raman Maharshi having surgery, Ramakrishna Paramans having cancer. So why? Because the prarabdha belongs to the body. So the body has to go through that cancer. The body has to go through that surgery, or Gurudev bypass. The body has to go through it. So that way these sorrows, so-called miseries or whatever is prarabdha, or on the other side, there'll be good things coming too. Gurudev was probably traveling business class all the time. So there are these good things also that are coming, but that is not affecting the mind of the sthita prajna. That is the point. Like the ocean, because his mind is compared to the ocean because it's very, very deep and it's very, very vast. Why is it very vast? His mind is actually merged with infinity. So it's even more vast than the ocean actually, because infinity. Now in that infinity, when little things come or don't come, infinity doesn't get disturbed. So that is the point here. Tadvat kama yam pravishanti sarve. They enter. The desires enter the mind. Why? Because the senses eyes are open, nose is functioning. A person is looking. Something he likes can come in front of him. Something he dislikes can also come in front of him. But so, Sar Shanti Mapnoti na kama kami word is very important here. That is the sadhana that is mentioned. Kama kami is a desirer of desires. we are not only in love with the object, we are actually also in love with the thought of getting that object. Think about it. This is a very subtle thought. Go into the deep recesses of your mind. See how happy you feel only by the thought of, oh, my daughter is coming tomorrow from New York. She's not. I'm just giving an example. Just that thought is making me happy. Or, oh, somebody is bringing me rasmalai today, or, I'm going to a restaurant for lunch. Ha 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 ha. I'll be meeting a friend. Even that thought is making me happy. Think about it, doesn't it? So that is what is meant by desirer. So I desire even the thought I am desiring, not only the object outside. That thought, because it's giving me pleasure, it's giving me happiness. Just the thought. Oh, in COVID, let me tell you this. This is absolutely true. When COVID started and everything shut down, literally the thought of, and because I never told anybody else to buy my groceries, just the thought that today is my grocery day would make me happy. I'm not kidding you, because the thing was, oh, yay, I get to go out. I get to see the cashier. I get to see some people in the grocery store, because gym was closed. Classes were going on Zoom. There was no personal contact. And there was a couple of weeks where my son said, Mom, no, we are also not coming because now Bonnie Henry said this and that. So nobody. And just the thought, yeah, it's Tuesday, it's my grocery day, I get to go out. Some purpose, because without purpose, who will go out? So that is what it is. This kama kami is the thought, this thing. And our sadhana is to tone it down. Tone it down. And the way you can tone it down is, if this is meant to happen, it will happen. I need not get excited about it. Because when I get excited, and if that thing doesn't happen, I'm going to get that much depressed. So if I'm cool about it, if it happens, it will happen. It's okay, no problem. Then if it happens, okay, fine. And if it doesn't happen, I'm not going into depression. I'm not going down. This is what it is. So that's why there is no change in the sthita. So our sadhana is the desires will come. And I've always told you this, because desire is a thought. So you cannot avoid desires. What effect is it happening on you? Are you getting all, yes, I want to do you? Are you getting all that excited? Or are you cool? Okay, this desire has come. Let us see if it is meant to manifest, it will manifest. If it doesn't manifest, that's fine too. That is the sadhana. That is the sadhana that we have to do. Because this is the goal. Remember, this, what is being told is the goal which the Sthita Prajna has achieved already. Ignorant person doesn't even know. So he's going to be there. We are in between. At least we'd like to think of ourselves to be in between. We are not completely ignorant and we have not reached the goal. So in between, this should be our self. That is what Purushartha is. That's why we are learning these verses, studying these verses, so that we change our behavior. Vedanta is not to be studied that, oh, I'm studying a textbook, so now text after text after text. The Gita, then this Upanishad, then that, every, that's why every class I'm attending and every textbook I'm studying, it's not, every textbook is saying the same thing. If you really just understand and follow Bhagavad Gita, out of 700, follow only one verse. You don't even need to follow a whole chapter. If you stick with that one verse, you really don't need anything else. So this point is to be understood. So therefore, every time I attend a class, every time I hear something, immediately I have to bring it into practice. Try to bring it into practice. And that is what is to be measured. Am I practicing, or am I just listening? Or am I practicing? And when you practice and when you come, you will, the need to listen will reduce. It'll reduce automatically. Just like the autumn leaf, when it matures, it falls off. You will mature to a stage where you are already doing it. You will not need to listen. Okay? We move. Vihaya kamanya sarvanyu pumansharati nispraha Nirmamo nirahankaraha sashantimadhigacchati. This is the Falashruti. This is the result. Okay. The man attains peace who, abandoning all desires, moves about without longing, without the sense of I-ness and my-ness. Here is the conclusion of how does he move about? How does he walk? There's a question. How does he walk? So this is the conclusion. So the man who attains peace means the Sthita Prajna, because he has attained peace of mind. That's what Bhagavan said already. Abandoning all desires. Abandoning all desires means not that he has no desire at all. He can have desire, but whether it is fulfilled or not, it doesn't matter to him. That should be our sadhana. I will have a desire, but okay, if it is fulfilled, okay, fine. Not fulfilled, okay, no problem. That is the sadhana for us. Okay. So for him, abandoning means don't think that he will not have, that means he will not have a single thought in his mind only. That's not how the Sthita Prajna is functioning. Thoughts are there, and it could be thoughts of desire. They could be thought, usually their thoughts are, for the totality. Generally, the thought of a Sthita Prajna will always be what will be good for the totality, not for me, myself. So what happens is when such a desire comes, he says, okay, Bhagwan has given me this desire for the good of the totality. Now Bhagwan will do it for the good of the totality. And he wants me to be the instrument. Okay. So if I'm supposed to be the instrument, I will become the instrument. It's nothing. It's not that I'm doing it for my personal gain, my personal recognition. Nothing is personal there. There is no, that's like Gurudev has said, without desire, without ego and egocentric. What is abandoned is ego and egocentric desires. And that practice even we can have. That is sadhana for us. Whatever is goal, whatever the Sthita Prajna has reached, whatever stage, we practice it. And he moves about without longing. So of course there is no longing that this should happen, today that will happen, hopefully tomorrow this will happen. There's no longing at all. Without the sense of I-ness and my-ness. I told you attachment is I and I want. So this is I and this is mine. That is attached. This computer is mine, house is mine, child is mine, family is mine, mine. That is attachment. So he moves about without attachment because Brahman is totally not associated with anything. And because he has reached that stage of Brahmi Sthiti, and this is what he concludes in the next verse. Esha Brahmi Sthiti Partha Nainam Prapya Vimuhyati Sthitva Syamanta Kalepi Brahma Nirvanam Richati. This is the Brahmic state. This is what he said. Brahmi Sthitihi. Brahmic state is Brahman. Okay. So don't take this state, word is used state. Don't think it's like the waking state and the deep sleep state and the dream. No. Brahmic sthiti is not one of, a state is one which changes. So waking changes into dream and deep sleep. That is different. This meaning Brahmic state, don't take that word meaning, is Brahman. So it is not a state. It is beyond the three states. O son of Pratha, attaining this, none is deluded. It means he will never come back to think that the world is real. Once this position is attained, being established therein, even at the end of life, one attains to oneness with Brahman. So let's understand this Brahmi Sthiti. Brahmi Sthiti, the technical definition is no Sat Vivarta, no Chit Vivarta, and no Ananda Vivarta. Now let's understand this. Vivarta is modification. Okay. So this state, which is beyond the three states of waking, dream, and sleep state, there is absolutely no modification in Sat, in Chit, and in Ananda. Sat, Chit, Ananda is the description of Brahman, of the pure consciousness. So when we say there is no Sat Vivarta, what it means is there is no dichotomy, there is no duality between karma and karta. I will first, okay, let's take the normal world, okay, for us. In this material world, what we have, we talked about the triad. So there is first of all the subject, object, and the experiencing. That triad is there. In this triad, there is one which is I am the doer and I am doing, right? So it's like I am here, speaker, and I am speaking. So that dichotomy is there in this world of ignorance. Then in Chit Vivarta, what a modification, I know and I am now giving out that knowledge. Okay, so that knower, knowing dichotomy is there. This dichotomy is there in the world of ignorance. And then there is the Ananda Vivarta, where I am doing and I will enjoy. I will get Ananda, because everything that I do, I'm doing for happiness. So I do and I enjoy. So this is Ananda Vivarta. So when we say Brahmi Sthiti and we say no Sat Vivarta, no Chit Vivarta, no Ananda Vivarta, means there is no doer, there is no karta, there is no karma. Understand? There's no dichotomy. There's no karta, there is no karma. There is no doer, there is no enjoyer. There is no knower, there is no knowing. That is what Brahmi Sthiti is. Is this clear? You can think about it as just pure consciousness. No need to go into technical details. I'm just telling you, but this is the state of pure consciousness where the triad has now merged. There is no triad. There is no triputi. There is no subject, object, and the knowing. Why? Because the subject has realized that the subject itself is the object itself is the subject only. Why? Because the substratum is the same for the world, right? So there is no dichotomy. And what Bhagavan says here, that this absence of dichotomy, when it is realized even at the end of life, suppose last minute of my life, I realize, Bhagavan says he comes to me. It doesn't, so like, all the people that Bhagavan killed, Ravana, Kamsa, Putana, whoever in Bhagavan Shri Krishna has done, Shri Ram killed so many demons in the forest. Shishupala, all of them merged with Bhagavan. So it was actually Bhagavan's grace that he killed them, because at the very last moment, he gave them the knowledge. They got the knowledge. This Bhagavan and me are one. So everybody got liberated. Putana got liberated, Shishupala, Kamsa, Chanur, everybody got liberated. Whoever Bhagavan killed, they were liberated, whether it was Sri Ram or Shri Krishna. Okay, so that's why Bhagavan is saying that even at the last minute, if you realize, you will come to me. Doesn't means you don't, but you will never realize it at the last moment if you have not put in self-effort before. So self-effort is extremely essential. So this is how Bhagavan concludes this verse. Sthitva antakalepi. Even at the time of death, at the time of end of life, if the person realizes that there is no doer, there is no enjoyer, there is no karta, there is no karma, there is no knower, there is no knowing, which are so real to us. I am the doer. I did so much. So real to us, right? Once he realizes, he will come to me. This is how he concludes. Let's read the Pushpika. Om Tat Sata iti Srimad Bhagavad Gita Su Upanishatsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade Sankhya Yogo Nama Dvitiyodhyayaha. Do we have a few minutes? I just quickly want to, what I did was, I just quickly summarized the last Sthita Prajna Lakshana. There are 4 questions. And the 4, out of the 4, 1 can be divided into A and B. So you can either say 4 or 5. So the first question is, what is the meaning of samadhi? The second question is, how does he talk? In this talk, you can divide it. Either he talks proactively, or he talks when people come to him. So either he goes out himself and talks to the people, or people can come to him and talk to him. So that's why it becomes A and B. How does he sit and how does he walk? Or how does he move about? Okay, so the first meaning of samadhi is where there are no desires in his mind. Prajahati yada kaman. The second question, what is his response to situations? So how does he respond? Dukkheshva anudvignama. So dukkha, sorrow has come, he doesn't get agitated. Happiness has come, he doesn't long for it. That is how his response is. And maybe people come to him, then what will he talk? He will always talk about not doing shobhanadhyas. Don't put a fanciful idea of this. That is what he will talk. He will not say world is real, go after the world and all that. No, no, no. This is how he will talk. Now, yeah, sorrow, and he asks people not to do shobhanadhyas. So that is when situations come to him unasked, that is how he will behave. Or we saw favorable, unfavorable situations, he remains the same. And then how does he sit? Not in Padmasana or whatever asan, but he sits with his sense organs under his control. Okay? And how does he move about? He moves about without likes and dislikes. All right? I'm going to say the first verse, but I want to quickly give you an idea of how the discussion should be proceeding. So the first verse, let's see. Atha dvitiyodhyayah Sanjaya uvacha tam tatha kripayavishtam ashrupurnam kulekshanam vishidantamidam vakyam uvacha madhusudanah. So by Gurudev's grace, we have completed this chapter, a long, second longest chapter in the Bhagavad Gita.